What's going on, everybody? Thanks for downloading the Voice of Bedlam podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Santoro. We got a great show planned out for you guys today. No Colin, no King Kojo, but we do got Sean Bedlam, the other Johnson. What's going on, Sean?
What's up, everybody? It's another Tuesday. I had kind of a crappy Friday. First of all, I just want to give a shout out to my buddy Wingham. He was in a car accident on Friday night, but he's doing all right. He's making his recovery. Shout out to Wingham. Get well soon, buddy, if you're listening. And then also on Friday, my team made headlines in a very bad way, but we'll get into that later. Let's get to it.
I meant in no way that you were lesser than Colin by calling you the other Johnson.
I know.
I was here first.
Yeah, I just meant like the other one of the two of you.
That's usually what your ex-girlfriend said.
Well, what's going on with you, Mr. DJ Devil?
Oh man, well, it's the start of a new week, and not only that, I got some arranged PTO for the end of this month because I'm actually gonna, take some time away from working.
Isn't that the best?
Not from working with us.
I know. Not at all. Exactly.
You don't get no breaks. We ain't got no union.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah. So if you guys can help out, pitch a nice coin over to us, because.
Oh, well, speaking of coins.
Yeah, speaking of these coins, there's a growing trend in cryptocurrency. Now, cryptocurrency, if you don't know what it is, it's the growing trend that is revolutionizing the way that you're going to spend money online. And not only that, it's going to be secured purchases in multiple countries. So your conversion from dollar to coin to yen, you don't have to worry about all these transferring fees. So if you want and you want to join the trend right now, because I'm on it, and I know a few of my friends are on this trend, click the screen right now, go into the description, click the link in now, and check it out. And now it's time for our daily breakdown.
All right, well, just as, I don't know. Where do you guys want to start? We're going to start out with the Eagles. Now, they signed Fletcher Cox to a 6-year, $103 million deal, and your former first-round pick, Nelson Aguilar, is being accused of rape. So which one do you want to go with first, Eagles fan?
Let's start with the good news, because, it happened more recently anyway, so it's out there now. Yesterday, the Eagles signed that Fletcher Cox, that monster deal. So I'm happy about it. I was saying before that the Eagles needed to lock him down. They finally did it. Doug Peterson actually said that Howie Roseman will get it done before training camp, and what do you know? He did it. Yeah,
the new deal's going to lock up Cox for the foreseeable future. They got him signed up into 2022, and this contract isn't complete without $63 million in guarantees. And NFL media insider Ian Rappaport, he said via a source knowledge to the deal, he'll make $36.3 million fully guaranteed, an amount that will likely be surpassed by Von Miller's anticipated new contract. Having some problems getting that signed in Denver. Little drama.
I think he's going to hold it out because he's going to have to see how this Denver defense is going to respond to this Super Bowl slump.
Yeah, but sticking with the Eagles, we'll get over to Denver a little later.
Definitely.
Yeah, but sticking with the Eagles, Rappaport added that Cox will earn $47.8 million over the first 3 years of the contract, which includes a $26 million signing bonus. Now, Fletcher Cox out of Mississippi State, this will be his 5th year, drafted by the Eagles in 2012. He had 9.5 sacks last year. Now, mind you, 9.5 sacks playing in the 3-4. Now, the 3-4, as a defensive lineman, your job's more to just keep the linebackers clean, and this dude's getting almost double-digit sacks. That's amazing. What do you think about Cox? Either one of you.
Well, honestly, the way that Philadelphia has been on burn squad, basically looking like a wildfire that's being slowly contained.
Especially when it comes to all the drama that happened this offseason.
Definitely.
Sam Bradford and all that crap.
Exactly. So now with the wildfires looking like they're slowly being contained and extinguished, you have to start with a new foundation they gotta plant the seeds with solid players, and having Fletcher Cox is definitely a solid starting point for that front four, because defensively they're going up against Eli Manning twice a year, and you're going to have to put a lot of pressure on him in order
he gets the ball out quick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the
Eagles have showed
shown
that the way to beat the Giants is to get to Eli, and what the Eagles have done, they've gotten to Eli. Now, I applaud how
Eli is not done good against the Eagles, but go ahead.
No, he hasn't, and it's awesome. But anyway,
it's awesome.
I don't know if you guys, this isn't up here on the computer, but the Eagles they're actually the highest. Let me start over. The Eagles are now the number one team in contracts being spent going into this year. They're
in
now
overall spending for this season.
$280 million in contracts in this off season. I mean, they locked down Lane Johnson, Brent Selleck, Zach Ertz. Did I say Lane Johnson?
Yeah.
Malcolm Jenkins and now Fletcher Cox. So, I mean, the Eagles' mindset, I think, going into this offseason was to, like John said, lock down their core players. With the exception of maybe Brent Selleck, all those guys are relatively young, so they're definitely building towards the future. And so I give Howie Roseman credit for what he's done so far this offseason.
Now, according to Pro Football Focus, his 90.3 overall grade was the highest on the Eagles roster last year.
Yeah, I would say
he ranked 28th in the top 101 players of 2015, according to Pro Football Focus. He also had the second highest overall grade for 3-4 defensive ends behind J.J. Watt. He had the fifth highest among interior defensive linemen. Cox's 77 total pressures were third amongst 3-4 DEs. So, I mean, he's really putting in he's putting in work. He's earning his money, even though astronomical.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, when it comes to DNs, I think of Khalil Mack being a little bit stronger, but I think this will be the year that he breaks out.
you got to bring up Aaron Donald. You got to bring up Aaron Donald then too.
What this contract does is it jacks up the market for. I mean, when Fletcher Cox is getting an extension, he was on his rookie contract. Now, when Khalil Mack ends the end of his rookie contract, he's going to be commanding a lot of money too.
Indeed.
Just like Vaughn.
Indeed.
But the other Eagles story, you guys can go over to voiceofbedlam.com, check out all the articles there. Right towards the top, you'll see a Nelson Aguilar post. Now, he's being accused of a rape by a dancer from Philadelphia Eagles Gentleman Club, Cheerleaders Gentleman Club. Now, it's a couple miles away from the stadium, and apparently the woman claims, the 27-year-old woman claims that there was at least two other Eagles with him, but she's not naming them in the assault, and it would have taken place right after camp had closed.
They said it was around 3 p.m. on Friday.
Well, I think that's when camp closed. Or was that when
it was shortly after the Eagles ended their OTAs for the day.
Now, he hasn't been arrested or anything, right? He's just accused. Like, I haven't heard too much about this.
I didn't really check into it.
Not much has developed since the story broke.
All right, but yeah, you can find out a little bit more if you go over to voiceofbedlam.com. Now, the next story in today's daily breakdown, Ravens wide receiver Rashad Perryman partially tears ACL.
Yeah, it's sad to hear this because he was one of my guys because I don't want to give up all my fantasy, football tactics or not, but I keep my eyes closely on the rookies towards the end of my draft. draft, right? Because I'm looking for my keeper for the next year, and depending on where the round falls, if I feel confident with my picks already, I might try to grab a couple questionables, but usually I start looking for them rookies, and Brashad Perriman was one of those guys that I bought into to try to grab late so that I could be like, yeah, I got a starting wide receiver with my 16th pick.
Was that last year you did that?
Yes, I did. And yeah, to hear that he was injured again, because he was injured last year as well. So to hear that he was, that he partially tore that ACL, it broke my heart, at least, because he hasn't even had, a full year of football in the NFL yet.
Now, he's supposed to have a minor surgery today with Dr. James Andrews, who is always the doctor the NFL teams are going for anything like this, especially with the ACLs.
Yep.
All right. Now, he's an orthopedic surgeon, and basically they're gonna the surgery they're doing today will determine if he needs a full ACL reconstruction. So the prognosis isn't even totally there yet, and they're saying that it is not thought to be a significant tear, but only the surgery will determine the next step. He was injured on the last day of Ravens OTAs. He was selected 26th overall in 2015 out of Central Florida. Suffered a PCL sprain, and I don't believe he took any snaps last year.
No, he didn't. And he was going
IR.
Because
he started out on the PUP, but he ended up on season-ending IR. And with that, real quick, let's jump over and tell you how you can keep your car off of season-ending IR, and tell you about K&N filters. Now, if you guys go to knfilters.com/podcast now, you guys can get some of the best filters, air filters, for all of your vehicles on the market. Now, go over
all makes and models, people.
Go over to knfilters.com/podcast now. You'll get free shipping, a free hat, and they'll hook you up with a nice little deal. But you got to use that /podcast. So one last time, knfilters.com/podcast. I mean, do you guys have anything else on Perryman, or do you want to move on?
It's like I said, it's sad to see somebody that hasn't had a chance yet to really prove his job, because he hasn't been out there to accept snaps other than OTAs, because that's where he's been hurt. So
it's always tough when you see a rookie not even get to really play his rookie season.
Exactly, and now he's not even going to play his sophomore season.
Oh, well, that's not true. He could possibly make the end of camp. You won't know till this surgery happens, though.
Orthoscopic surgery, even though that
it's not that invasive of a procedure.
Yeah, now it's not that invasive of a procedure, but also that rehab period, that's to be determined. We'll have to see, because hopefully, I'm not sure if it was the same area where he had the PCL injury, but if it is, you're almost talking about,
I think this time it's his left knee. I think this time it's his left knee. I don't know what last year's was, but I don't know. You think Audible will have anything on it, maybe?
Well, they'll definitely have a lot about, the medical things about the ACLs
and about the NFL
PCLs
in general.
And the NFL in general, and biographies about past NFL players. So why don't you take yourselves on over to audibletrial.com to get your 30-day free trial right meow.
All right, if you want to listen to free, interesting movies and books, try Audible's 30-day trial and join Audible today. You can enjoy your first listen free. Of course, if you don't like your audiobook, then you can exchange it for another one free. So what are you waiting for? Get to audibletrial.com now and set up your 30-day free trial. Let's keep rocking along and talk about these Detroit Lions signing Andre Roberts, and there's also talk out there that they're scheduling a visit with Anquan Boldin. Now, let's keep in mind here, they did lose a legend in Megatron, and they're trying to fill his slot. But I can't see either one of these two guys really making an impact here. Now, let's look at Roberts first. Last year, 11 receptions, 135 yards. You know what I mean? And that's playing in 9 games. All right? So, I mean, his career totals, he's only got 229 receptions, 2,711 yards, averaging 11.8 yards a catch with 13 TDs over the course of his 7-year career. So, I mean, I don't know. And they're also talking a bold
6-year
win.
career.
Yes, this would be his seventh
So
year.
even, well, a little bit better than what you said, but not too much.
I remember him being really really good.
With the Cardinals?
Like a third. I think he was the third or the fourth. In the.
Well, he's only
Arizona
5'11",
Cardinals
so I mean, he
offense.
probably is a little bit better suited. 5'11", 187 in that slot.
Who else? Yeah, who else is out there?
He was
you got
drafted
Golden
by the
Tate.
Cardinals.
You know,
Yeah.
you got Golden Tate, so he's gonna ultimately fall, and then he's gonna be maybe a third or fourth wide receiver there, and it's not a terrible move. And not only that,
Well, they got a lot of issues now. Than that
last
receiving
year,
core.
let's not kid ourselves. The Washington Redskins were, very flighty. They were very undefinable, pretty much.
He's
Like
yet to
very
put up-
lucky in a
He's yet
sense
to put
as
up
well.
a 500-yard season with the Redskins. I mean, his best.
His first year with them, yes.
Well, both years combined.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he's yet
Yeah,
to
both
put
years
up.
combined, he
That'd
only
be
has
it'd be 568.
568 yards
So right over there at
and
the
2
500 mark,
touchdowns.
Yeah,
And-
so he almost got almost all those 500 in that first year in 2014. But the TDs is where it matters, especially in only coming up with 2 in that one in the first year and 0. That's terrible.
Well, he had 5 in 2012. That's probably his best statistical year playing with the Cardinals. Played in all 16 games and had his most productive year as far as yardage is concerned with 759 yards. Now, with them talking to Anquan Boldin, I mean, Anquan Boldin, he's 35 years old now. I mean, he's a great guy. He could win NFL or Walter Payton Man of the Year every year. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
But I don't know how much production he has left. He's had his last 3 years with San Francisco, but he's also been with Baltimore and, of course, the Cardinals, who drafted him in 2013.
Come on, think about who was throwing to him.
2003.
Yeah, what did I say, 13?
You said 2003.
Yeah, 2003. Yeah.
Yeah, 2013.
He was drafted at 32 years old.
Oldest rookie in the league.
Oldest rookie ever. His stint as a Cardinal was his most memorable.
Well, yeah,
and
definitely.
not only.
Well, he did have back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons with the Niners.
That Larry
Yes,
Johnson,
yes.
that Larry
He was.
Johnson.
He was.
Larry Fitzgerald, Anquan Boldin tandem was like the most dangerous in the league for
Yeah,
a couple,
it was
at
big
least a
dudes.
few years.
Big tall dudes.
When
and-
the Cardinals were going to the Super Bowl and stuff. So
Yeah, but Bolden, he's on his way out, but at least he can help these younger wide receivers in Detroit. Maybe learn the game.
Well, if he hasn't been signed, they're making a meeting.
Yeah, exactly. So they're going to reach out to him to try to get him in so that they have more veteran leadership in there, because losing Megatron, you obviously lose a very valuable veteran, and you need to replace that. I don't think Roberts is that veteran leader that they're looking for, so that's why they're looking for Anquan Boldin, and that's not a bad move, because you need somebody that's gonna lead that wide receiver core into a new era.
the Lions don't really have anything to lose, and at least
They got some jobs that they can lose.
well,
Martha Ford fired everybody.
either way, I'm talking about just the football players. The Eagles. I need to get my head straight. The Lions don't really have much to lose as far as at least giving Anquan Boldin the look, because losing Megatron, now their number one receiver is Golden Tate, and then they have Marvin Jones. Yes.
Marvin Jones.
I knew
There
the
it
name was
is.
going to. I keep saying, whenever I think of the Bengals and I say Marvin, I always say Marvin Lewis. Marvin Jones, the other, that's going to be their receiving, their number one, number two. So, I mean, the Lions, as far as their receiving core go, don't really have anywhere to go but up. So, Anquan Boldin could be a guy that I mean, he could be somewhat productive for you. I mean,
I don't even want to say somewhat. I mean, at 35 years old, he had 789 yards with 4 touchdowns last year, playing on a terrible Blaine Gabbert / Colin Kaepernick led Niners team.
That Lions offense isn't
much better.
Is gonna struggle crazy.
Yeah, I just pulled up their roster for you guys just to kind of fill in.
That
like,
shows
who's
just
in
how
there.
big of a piece Megatron was to that offense. Souths.
Yeah, they have Golden Tate, obviously. T.J. Jones coming into his second year. Corey Fuller, and then they got some rookies. Quashad Davis. Jay Lee, and then as you eloquently said, Marvin Jones.
Yes.
Eloquently,
yes. You know,
Very eloquently.
Untimely.
Now,
Untimely, but
I knew the name
eloquently.
was going to come to me.
Now,
Yes.
another wide receiver. Now, he hasn't really been connected to them, but Jericho Cotchery is still out there. Now, he played the last 2 years with Carolina, a couple years with the Steelers, and was drafted by the Jets in 2014. Also an older guy.
2004, man. You keep putting.
Why do I keep
you
doing
keep
that?
putting ones where there aren't ones.
In 2004. Now, last year, he had 39 receptions with 485 yards. Do you think there's any chance they'll give him a look? Maybe he had 3 touchdowns 2 years ago, 10 with the Steelers.
Honestly, if they can't get Anquan, then that's a good close second runner-up.
And there's also James
Jericho
Jones.
Cotchery's a couple years younger too, so
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
still got some fuel left in the tank.
Yeah, 2 years younger.
Yeah,
What
Where
were you saying
maybe
about
Antoine
so-
Bolden doesn't have
as much?
that.
Given that he gave the Panthers 2 years, I can say that he wasn't always the go-to guy, but he always seemed to get his catches and put up some yards when it mattered, and then with over 50 first down catches in the 2 seasons with the Panthers, that's nothing to shake at. That he helped move that offense along, and especially last year with the carousel of unknown wide receivers.
And he did have that one really big that big play. It was like maybe a 45-yard
Yeah.
reception. I remember that happening. But to wrap things
But last
up,
year you had the almost
oh, that's what I
60
mean.
yard.
Last year
Yeah,
was it
last
almost
year
60? I thought it was
yeah.
like 50 or 45.
Yeah,
Yeah,
59 right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost 60.
All right. So, but one last little fun note on the Detroit Lions. There will be debuting a cheerleading squad in 2016 for the first time in 85
So
years.
wait.
What?
I didn't know this. So you're telling me that the last time
They never had.
so they've never had 85 years is going back a long time.
He's like, what?
well,
So
neither
the Lions have never had cheerleaders?
neither have the Giants or the Steelers.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
a
know that.
travesty.
That's too cold.
It's a travesty.
It's too
Well,
cold.
but the Lions
Especially
played-
for the outfits that
Lions-
they
the
would be
Giants have
asked
some-
to wear most
The
of the
Lions
time.
have played.
Dumbass marching
The
band.
Lions have played inside as far back as I can remember.
Yeah,
Ford
Silverdome.
Field
Silverdome.
is a dome. It's got a retractable roof and all that.
Yeah, but
And that
it's not
stadium
the
opened
same.
like 15 years ago.
Yeah, but let's
And the
move-
Eagles play outside. They've had cheerleaders forever.
Yeah, well, I could care less. I'm usually watching the football game. If you're that
Yeah,
like
but,
if
yeah,
you're
those
that
shit-
ADHD and you're looking around like,
Yeah,
oh,
they-
hot
cheerleading-
chick, oh,
Hey man, when
hot
when
dog
they-
guy, oh, hey,
when they go to
there's
a
cotton
commercial,
candy.
when they go to a
Then
commercial,
you know what? Maybe you shouldn't
those
have paid the-
cheerleaders are they keep me coming back.
Especially if your team's losing.
Yeah, that,
But if your
you're
team's winning,
if you're an
your team's
Eagles
winning,
fan, I
it's-
understand
it's-
why you need cheerleaders.
All right, man. All right.
But another wide receiver semi out on the market, hasn't announced retirement yet, but it looks like he will. Wes Welker. It appears his career is finally coming to an end. Nothing official yet, but according to Mark Sessler of NFL.com, the former Patriot, Bronco, and Dolphin receiver spent 2 days this week serving as a guest coach for the Baltimore Ravens. Welker was on hand for the organized team activities on Tuesday and Thursday, working with the team's pass catcher. According to Harbaugh, it was an opportunity for Wes Welker to get his feet wet. He initially reached out to Welker with the offer per the team's official website.
Yeah, that was John Harbaugh that reached out to him.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, John Harbaugh reached out to him. And Harbaugh went on to say he obviously brings a lot to the table, can help our guys. He's a lot of insight with all his success and style. Now, the person he really spent a lot of times with was Keenan Reynolds out of Navy, quarterback, converting to wide receiver. Did a post on him, voiceofbedlam.com.
Yeah.
Go check that out too.
Check it
But he was
out.
working with him in his conversion from quarterback to wide receiver.
Yeah. Also, there's they got that veteran over there, my boy Steve Smith. So with the help of Wes Welker and Steve Smith, he has a lot of veteran leadership and experience to really rack and scratch the brains of pros that have been in that position for quite some time.
Well, I want to talk about Steve Smith a little here, but before we do that, now if you're listening to the audio version of this show, this little simulcast we got going on, you're gonna hear that's coming straight out of Podbean. All right, now if you guys want to start your own podcast, you guys need to go to podbean.com. But you got to throw in our little coupon code and go to podbean.com/R, the letter R/Bedlam, like the show, BEDLAM. Podbean.com/R/Bedlam. If you put in our coupon code, you will get a month free of whatever plan you choose. So if you put in our coupon code and you're not even sure if you really want to get your podcast moving, you could try it out for free. So go over to podbean.com/R/Bedlam now.
So if you're one of those people that are thinking, I think these guys are idiots, I could do better than
start
do
your
it.
show.
Then do your own show. All right, and this is your chance. And instead of being a hater, we're giving you the chance to get a month free and try it. So go to podbean.com/R/Bedlam.
Now, kicking it back over to Steve Smith. I mean, he was really showing everybody that age is just a number last year.
Definitely.
Until
that Achilles.
he tore that ACL in week 8. Now, according to FoxSports.com, through 7 games, he had 46 receptions for 670 yards and 3 touchdowns. That put him on pace for more than 1,200 yards receiving. The injury was huge, not just for the Ravens, but for his career. You got a quote on him, John?
It was supposed to be his last year, but he also, because of the injury, didn't want to go out like that. So, but speaking about him coming back, he's quoted by ESPN's report by saying, I don't know when I'm coming back. I just know I have to be able to do something in training camp to be able to play for this season. Now, that's just the way I operate. I can't go on doing absolutely nothing, sitting on my butt for all of training camp, and then go out there and play. End quote. And and that's the type of guy he is.
We were talking back in February about him coming back and him making a bet on himself that he wants to come back and play.
Yeah.
He's got the right attitude for it. Like, good for you, Steve Smith. You're 37 years old and you still want to play football.
There is no timetable on his return as of now, but he is coming back. Spent the last 2 seasons with Baltimore, played all 16 games the first time, just 7 last year. Now, with the exception of his 2004 season, he's really not missed any games, missed almost the entire year, got injured in the opener, right?
That was when it was a femur. I think it was a femur.
Yeah, well, it's going back a ways. 2004, not 14. Said it right that time.
Oh my goodness. Golf clap, everybody. Man. Golf clap.
In 2014, his first year with the Ravens, had 6 touchdowns. A great game against your Carolina Panthers. I'm sure you remember that one.
I watched that game and gritted my teeth and grinded them almost down to nothing because I was like, Dave, get him in nice.
Yeah, he had 1,065 yards that first year and was on pace to get basically another additional 200 yards at 37 years of age, trying to come back at.
He definitely showed that he can still play. I mean,
exactly.
This Achilles thing it's going to set him back. There's no question about that. But if he wants to play, he wants to play. Like, go for it, Steve Smith.
Mike Taylor on his way out said that Steve Smith was one of the hardest wide receivers he ever went up against.
I mean, even last year, only playing in 7 games, he had 2 50-yard receptions.
Yeah,
I mean,
and he's breaking them past 20 and 40 yards too, like, as you can see. And then he's also getting those touchdowns. He's usually just getting those big wide open, like big open field catches.
Oh, he's got a lot of of big catches. I mean, looking at 2014,
because he's got that fast cut, man. Even for his age, he still has that cut. Like, it's just nasty. Like, I remember watching him back at Cal, and it was, he was nasty then. So to see him come to the Panthers, then I was like, yes, we got our wide receiver forever. No, he went to Baltimore, but
but you had him for 13 seasons there, so that's You're talking about a guy that held out his tenure, I guess, for lack of a better phrase.
Yeah, and they gave him the boot. It's not like he left.
Yeah,
I know. Dave Gettleman gave him the boot.
He could have retired as a Panther if he wanted to.
Yeah, this would
after a really long.
I think that's
well, he's going to retire as a Panther. He's just going to have to come back with a day contract.
You think so? I don't know,
most definitely.
He's kind of.
He might do that.
You think? I don't know. I don't think he really respects Dave Gettleman. Are they going to be on good enough terms to do that?
By the end of his season,
when he goes to hang up his cleats, he might put his past behind him and just say, "I'm going to retire as a Panther." That's where he spent. That's what a lot of players do.
We need that 89 retired in the Ring of Honor over there.
But if you want to see Steve Smith play what looks to be his final year of football, you can do that on DirecTV. You can get a hold of DirecTV at 855-668-9061. They got the whole sports package. If you're a fan, you need the Sunday Ticket, and you need the Sunday Ticket NFL Max package, getting the whole boat, Red Zone, all the fantasy channels, every single out-of-market game. All right, so if you don't live in the Charlotte area and you want to see, if you don't live in the Baltimore area and you want to see Steve Smith, you're going to have to call 855-668-9061 now.
Or just like he said, if you want to watch some Carolina games because you're jumping on the bandwagon, call DirecTV right now, 855-668-9061.
All right, well, right now I want to have some fun here. Going to talk about Wade Phillips. Now, according to his official Twitter handle, @SonOfBum, the ring ceremony was great. Receiving the ring was awesome. Seeing that they had the wrong name on the ring, not so good. So, I mean, apparently Wade Phillips at the ceremony, which Von Miller did attend, apparently his name's spelt wrong. But I just want to get into real quick. We're not going to stay on this. But the ring, right now, according to the team's website, the Super Bowl 50 championship ring boasts 212 round, tapered, and
Marquise-shaped
diamonds all meticulously set in a 10-carat white and yellow gold ring. This collection of stones, this collection of stones comes together to create a stunning ring that tops more than 5.05 carats.
That's a lot of carats, and I'm not talking.
That's a lot of diamonds. 212.
Oh my goodness! So I guess
people are saying it's gaudy, but I like gaudy Super Bowl rings. That's what I'd want my ring to look like, just like the Giants' fourth Super Bowl ring. That's my favorite one.
Oh no, my high school ring was pretty big. I gave it to my mom because I didn't walk at graduation, so I was like, "Here, take my ring."
I was I'm kind of surprised you had a high school ring, to be honest.
I know. Well, I was barely there, so
yeah, that's kind of what I was good.
Yeah, I know. I was barely there, guys. I get it. I will probably go as the lowest attendance allowed to graduate.
Well, one thing that I'm sure you'd like to attend is an NFL game.
Or maybe an opera.
There you go, and you can get them all from Ticket Software LLC at 866-853-3454. Ticket Software C has a 125% money back guarantee because they have some of the best security on the internet. Get your tickets for almost any worldwide event. 83,000 worldwide. 866-853-3454.
So get your sophistication on, or get your game on with Ticket Software LLC.
Now we're gonna have to get over to some sadder news now. Brian Robinson, former 14-year vet, NFL defensive lineman, dies at age 41. Brian Robinson, who was a defensive lineman with 5 different NFL teams from 1997 to 2010, has died, according to the Chicago Tribune. He was pronounced dead late Saturday in a Milwaukee hotel room. Milwaukee police told the Tribune that they are investigating the situation as a sudden death and that there was no signs of foul play. Now, he was undrafted coming out of Fresno State. He caught on with the Rams in 1977 before he moved on to the Bears.
1997. You are so...
In 1997?
You are
Yep, and then he moved on to the Bears for the better of his years between 1999, 98 and 2003.
He'd be way older than 41.
Yeah, but in his 30s, he's continued to play, and he played in 2004 for the Dolphins, and from 2005 to 2007 for the Bengals, and closed out his career with the Cardinals in 2008 to 2010. So,
and he got to play in the Cardinals Pittsburgh Super Bowl as well.
Yeah, too bad he didn't get that
ring.
championship ring.
And neither did Fitz.
Yep, but
Warner could have got a second. He would have been the first one to win Super Bowls with two different teams. Do you think that would have diminished what Peyton Manning did if Kurt Warner had done it first?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I liked Kurt Warner.
I like Kurt Warner too.
Yeah,
I thought
me
he
too.
did.
He played good for the Giants. Got a 6-2.
Yeah, he also played really great for them Rams. Because
Best show on turf. Greatest show on turf. Yep.
Yeah. So
But we'll get to the greatest show on turf in our next segment. But before we roll off our next news segment, we got to tell you guys about Cura Debt. It's minicamp week. Everybody trying to get everything straightened out. Minicamp week. Oh, did you guys hear? Joey Bosa holding out on his rookie deal. Talking about talking about offset language. But that doesn't happen as people don't really hold out on the rookie deals as much as they used to. But basically, offset language talks about how he would be paid if he was cut and signed by another team. There's discrepancies in that, and it's similar to what happened with Marcus Mariota last year. But if you get back on topic here, if you want to fix your credit today, call Cura Debt at 844-255-6458. Everybody's trying to rebuild their team in minicamp. Go rebuild your credit at Cura Debt, 844-255-6458. Now, our next segment, we got a new one coming. Now, you guys can go over to thevoiceofbedlam.com. I see it, John. I see it. You guys can go over to thevoiceofbedlam.com and check out. I'm going to be doing some weekly top 10s. Now, they're mostly going to be fun type stuff, and you guys can give me some feedback on it. I did get some complaints on this one. I left out some key names, but I just wasn't big on them. But let's let Bedlam's Big 10 NFL team nicknames roll off now. All right, we got a little beat courtesy of my man Devil John. But if you guys head over to voiceofbedlam.com, you can see the top 10 list. We got things rolling off. Coming in at number 10, the Aints. Sadly, almost bequeathed upon the Saints due to their terrible 0-14 season. Coming in at number 9, we got the Steel Curtain, used to refer to the 1970s Pittsburgh Steelers defensive team. All right, now, you're talking about guys like Mean Joe Green on that team, Steel Curtain, legendary. Getting over with number 8, greatest show on turf. St. Louis, almost said Los Angeles Rams. Most used to describe them 99 to 2001, and they also use that term with the Houston Oilers to their 1993 NFL film highlights. All right, coming up next, Capital Punishment, one of the nicknames used for the Redskins defensive line. Number 6, $1 million backfield, also used twice, once with the San Francisco 49ers and once with the Chicago Cardinals in 1947 when they brought in some top dollar free agents. San Francisco's $1 million backfield spawned off 4 Hall of Famers. Number 5, Legion of Boom, describing the Seattle Seahawks' stellar defensive backs, taking them to win the Super Bowl over Denver and Peyton and the Broncos. Next up, the Deadskins, another negative one, talking about how the Redskins have been dead since Daniel Snyder has taken over that team, even though they did win the division last year. Coming in at number 3, got to give Sean some love, Blitz Inc. 99 to 2004. Who was the DC at that time, Sean?
Jim Johnson.
Jim Johnson.
Was actually past 2004, I'm pretty sure.
All right, but number 2, got to go with the boys in blue, big blue. We're talking about the Crunch Bunch. I'm saying Lawrence Taylor, Harry Carsons, Brian Kelly, Brad Van Pelt, linebacker corps for the Giants, predating Carl Banks. Coming in at number 1. Other part of New York, other part of Jersey, same stadium actually, the New York Sack Exchange, led by Mark Gastineau, who Strahan broke the record for single season sacks. Gastineau had it originally playing with the Jets in the New York Sack Exchange. Now that's going to wrap it up for Bedlam's Big Ten. Now I'm curious, tweet it out to me, hashtag VOBpod. Yeah, I didn't put on the Fearsome Foursome, and I didn't put on the Purple People Eaters. Now we stuck it with team names, not just player names. But John, Sean, what do you guys think of it?
Honestly, some of those names, really, I think you got a pretty good selection. Yeah, the Purple People Eaters would have, I think, fit.
I probably could have taken out Deadskins and put in Purple People
the
Eaters.
Deadskin, yeah. The Legion of Boom, right on it. $1 Million Backfield,
Capital Punishment, that's a good name, man.
Yeah, the Greatest Show on Turf, we just mentioned them. The Steel Curtain, if you didn't have that on the list, then you were just hating. And also, I'm glad that you put the Aints on there, because right now, especially because it's still relevant now.
Yeah,
they did win that Super Bowl.
They won that Super Bowl, but now they've kind of returned to that, that Aints, mentality that that.
Well,
team
as an NFC South fan, definitely that's a good one for you. I like to say the Aints because when I was a kid, and Colin can attest to this. My dad would tell us about the Aints back in the 70s and stuff when the season was only 14 games long, and the Saints fans
wore 0-14.
Wore the paper bags over their heads
1980.
with the cry, with the tears coming out. Like, I'll always remember that when I was growing up as a kid, first learning about just football and like the history of football. Also, the Greatest Show on Turf, that's a great mention. I mean, you talk about guys like Marshall Faulk and Isaac
Warner
Bruce,
and who was the other wide receiver out there? Isaac Bruce.
Isaac Bruce, yeah. That was the other one.
There's 2 wide receivers.
Yeah.
Who was the other one? I can't remember.
Torrey Holt.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Greatest Show on Turf. But they also use that with the Oilers to describe one of their films.
I could imagine that conversation though going down for little Sean being like, "Is that our team? No, that's going to be our team, guys."
You're funny, John.
Now, I mean, you guys want to keep things moving.
On to the 4-minute hut.
The what?
4-minute hut.
All right, 4-minute hut. Ongoing series.
Our
segment.
Signature segment,
Our
man.
signature.
Ongoing segment.
You can't tell that
Now,
it's been a long day, have you?
We're walking through the entire league, division by division, strengths and weaknesses, giving you a little analysis of each team as 24 teams head into minicamp today. Now, John, we're doing it on the AFC South, so I find it
NFC South.
That's what I said, AFC South.
NFC South.
Yep, NFC.
Yeah, we're doing it on the NFC South.
Yeah,
and,
NFC.
The Carolina Panthers play down there in Charlotte.
Yeah, they do. And you know what? I just gotta reach back here, make a quick costume change.
I saw you walking in with that. I was like, why? He's got that jersey.
Going into the phone booth. What's going down? Uh-oh, is that the Keep Pounding Lou Kuechly 59 Black Panthers jersey?
Yes, compliments of my dad.
I think the blue jerseys are cooler, but the black jerseys are always good.
Shout
too.
out to them for hooking me up, But I have to, because when you talk about the best, you gotta wear the best. So I got. Honestly, speaking of the best, I want to start off right with the weaknesses. The weaknesses, obviously, this year are going to be the running back situation because I love Stu, but there's a big question mark on Cameron Artis-Payne. Is he going to be able to, pick up the slack where Tolbert leaves off in fullback and also where Jonathan Stewart leaves off if he gets injured? Because he gets injured quite a bit. He got injured last year too.
How old is he now?
And I don't rightly know right now.
He's got to be 30 on the wrong side of 30. But
him and D'Angelo Williams came in at around the same time,
Yeah.
and I honestly thought that they made the wrong move with keeping Jonathan Stewart out of Oregon instead of keeping D'Angelo Williams out of Memphis.
Yeah, he did put up some big numbers for Pittsburgh.
While Le'Veon Bell was out on suspension, he made a lot of moves out there.
He sure did.
I had them both.
But also a quick tie for a weakness, and I think everybody here will agree, is the rookie situation in cornerback, because yes, they got rid of Josh Norman. You lose one player, but they grabbed a lot of new young talent. So there's a big question mark. Can they fill in the gaps? Can they learn? Can they adapt? Let's find out. And then they also let go of Roman Harper. Roman Harper went back to the Saints now, which I'll get to them later. But those are the weaknesses that I see. Arguably the strongest point of this is the defensive front seven and Cam Newton.
What about K'Wan Short, though? He's trying to work out a deal right now. Did you say the weakest parts? Or
now on to the strongest parts. Because the weakest parts is the running back, and I put a slash with the rookie cornerbacks because they're untested. We lost a veteran, and we're gonna have to see. With Kurt Coleman sitting back there in the safety position.
Kurt Coleman.
Yeah, so
he was garbage with the Eagles.
He was actually doing pretty well covering Josh Norman's back. He did a really decent job back there, and
he did.
So, given that, let's see how these rookies adapt. But those are the weaknesses. The strength for the Panthers, like I said, is Cam Newton, and obviously the defensive front seven. Because if you just say the defensive front four or just the linebackers, they're one and the same to me because of how much pressure Luke Kuechly, I'm wearing his jersey for a reason. That man is all over the field. Like, when there's the ball, you are bound to find number 59 very close to that ball. He always finds a place to make the play, and him and Thomas Davis going into his final years, it's gonna be a great year. And not only that, to solidify Cam's emergence as a top tier elite quarterback, Ryan Khalil signed an extension to stay as a Panther all the way to the end. So with that veteran leadership in the offensive line and the returning Michael Oher, aka the blind side, there should be a good starting point for this offensive line to move the ball. But like I said, the biggest weaknesses are going to be that the running back situation, because Cameron Artis-Payne only had a few touches last year, so he didn't really get to really show exactly who he was. And Mike Tolbert, he fumbled a couple big plays towards the end, and Jonathan Stewart, couldn't stay healthy the full year, and there wasn't too many years that he stayed healthy for the full season. So with that being said, that's I can't argue anything else really, unless you guys can think of something.
No, I mean, the Panthers are a solid team. They're a solid team. Losing Josh Norman will hurt. We'll see how they back out. He's not the bounce back. He's not the whole team. I mean, it is rough after you lose that Super Bowl. Historically, they don't really do so well the next year. But what's going on with K'Wan Short? He's trying to work out a deal as well.
They're trying to lock down people right now, and with Charles coming back, for another year, it just goes to show that there's a lot of people that believe in that keep pounding mentality that you guys try to make fun of on the back of this chair, on the inside of this collar here. But the keep pounding mentality was instated by Sam Mills, and he wore the infamous number 51. And what Super Bowl year is it?
51.
So the Panthers are coming for that, and we're gonna take that, and we're gonna give our hearts. And they tried to give their heart last year, and that showed, even with some questionable people, because not many people knew who Josh Norman was, and in these last 2 years he emerged. So, and because who believed in the boy from coastal Carolina?
I got a question for you, John. You said that Cam Newton was going to be one of the Panthers' strong points. With Kelvin Benjamin coming back, how do you think that's going to help Cam Newton in the passing game? Because the Panthers' passing game was not
Calvin
really,
Benjamin
not
coming
really
back,
all
yeah.
that good last year. It was their success was mostly because of that defense. So how do you see their offense stepping up this year?
You gotta remember-
with Kelvin Benjamin coming back.
With him and also with Jordy Nelson being older, lots of times in ACL, except if you're Adrian Peterson, you don't really come back and start exploding until that
He's
second
been
year
full
off of it, but he's young.
participation in OTAs. He's been full
So
participation.
has Victor Cruz now.
So
Yes.
you're saying that
minicamp.
you're saying Kelvin Benjamin? Do you think he comes back 100%? You think that passing game is? You think Kelvin Benjamin was the guy he was in his rookie year?
Yes,
Or what?
you know, given the fact that he had that year off because of that ACL, having him on the field just spreads out that talent because we got Ted Ginn Jr. coming back after one of his like record-breaking years. Like
Devin Funchess.
You can't always get that though. You can't count on that. He was
True.
He was great for that deep route. I mean, Mario Manningham used to do that for the Giants. A couple other people did too. And it's like they get like 3 catches a game and they'd have 95 yards. You know what I mean? 110
but
yards.
also Devin Funchess is coming into his second year. Last year, towards the end of the stretch of the season, he was really emerging as a target that could actually hold on to the ball because he didn't really have too many good hands. He had really stiff, hard hands towards the beginning of the season because he was put into the mix almost immediately. And let's not forget that when he was in Michigan, he was running tight end routes and he was running wide receiver routes. So, he adjusted more towards the end of the season. So him coming back with Kelvin Benjamin and then Philly Brown and then Ted Ginn, those are 4 strong wide receivers that I could hang my hat on and say, oh, well, we have those guys. Last year it was like, yeah, we got Jericho Cotchery. Yeah, we got
Jason.
But also there's one other guy that I wanted to throw in there, and that's Brenton Burson. He's a 6'3" wide receiver. He's the little blonde-haired curly white dude. So he's gotten some moves, but he's got a lot of talent. He's got a lot of talent that's behind him that's going to be fighting for them positions. And we're going to see where Ted Ginn falls this year because he's getting up there in age as well. But I think he's going to fall to number 2 or 3.
All right, good job on that. I mean, of course, the Carolina Panthers.
He knows his
we'll see how
Panthers.
you do on the Saints. We'll hear from John before we wrap things up.
All right.
But Sean, what you got there over in Hotlanta or not Atlanta?
Outlanta. I don't really have too much on the Falcons because they're kind of an enigma to me because you're talking about a team that 4 years ago now, 2012, they made it to the NFC Championship game, and since then they haven't done anything.
They started off 5-0 last year.
Yeah, and then they finished 8-8. So
No.
yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Yes, they
yeah,
did. They finished 8-8.
I was thinking they finished 7-9.
They've become kind of this team that starts hot and then finishes crappy. Like I think it was 2 years ago they started 8-0 and then they finished. I don't remember what they fit. I guess it had to be 8-8, but
I guess.
Well, they could have started out.
I don't
8-0
remember.
and gone 9-7.
I don't know. They're. My point being is that they
fizzle out. at the
They
end.
fizzle out. Their offense has been considerably underachieving for
Well, what
lack of a better term.
What about Julio Jones though?
Well, yeah, he had like 1,800 yards last year or something like that, almost 1,900 if my memory serves me well. You can check out my article on it. I go into the a little bit more depth about the Falcons. I mean, their strength is still gonna be that offense, but at the same time, like they don't have many weapons. Like Matt Ryan, we've seen Matt Ryan kind of regress over the last couple of years. Like he was he was not, I don't want to say he was like an elite quarterback, but he was up there in the mix with like
He had Gonzalez also though.
Yeah, well, yeah, back in 2011 when Tony Gonzalez came over from Kansas City, he was definitely Matt Ryan's like favorite target before Julio
First
Jones.
playoff win.
And then and then Roddy White and those guys, Harry Douglas, like. But with the Falcons, we haven't really seen them do anything for the last couple of years. So my weakness for them is gonna be I got a couple weaknesses actually. Their weakness is gonna be whether or not they can actually capitalize on only having really one offensive weapon in the passing game, because their only weapon is Julio Jones. They got Mohamed Sanu, but he's a borderline number 2 at best. And then Devontae Freeman, as good as he was last year, he rushed for over 1,000 yards. He scored you guys remember how many touchdowns he scored in the first few games?
I had him in fantasy.
Yeah, you remember that?
I did.
And then he only scored. I don't remember the number, but after a week, around the middle of the season, he only scored a few touchdowns after that. So
that's because
my fear for
Atlanta is kicked in.
My fear for the Falcons and their running game is whether or not Devontae Freeman can actually
repeat.
Well, not even that, is if he can carry a heavy load. Like if he can
you mean his body?
Can he handle a heavy workload, or the Falcons going to have to look to Tevin Coleman to be that solid number 2? Are they going to have to split more carries with Devontae Freeman?
Well, yeah,
in order to keep that offense moving. Now, the other weakness I have is their defense. Now, they were middle of the pack last year. Their defense coordinator, Richard Smith, actually says he likes what he sees out of their defensive squad in OTAs. But that being said, the Falcons' biggest problem on defense is definitely that pass rush. They only had 19 sacks last year. That's a little over.
Cox had 9.5 playing in the 3-4
that's only
line.
a little over 1 sack a game. They got to get to the quarterback. And especially when you're talking about playing in the NFC South, where Cam Newton is
mobile.
Is a very mobile quarterback. So you're gonna have to keep him contained. And you got Jameis Winston too, who's not necessarily a runner.
I'll get into Jameis Winston.
But I mean,
he could step 2 steps
Yeah,
left.
he's a young quarterback, and they're gonna have to keep him contained. I mean, also, and then Drew Brees. I mean, he's Drew Brees. He's a future Hall of Famer, so they got to get to him also.
Yeah.
So strengths being just, I mean, they do still have Julio Jones. They do have Matt Ryan, who's still a good quarterback. I don't care what anybody says. He's still a good quarterback. But then Devontae Freeman is a question mark. Can he handle a heavy workload? And then also that defensive front, can they get to the quarterback?
All right.
Yeah, well, those Falcons, just to end up something. I'm sorry, Nate.
No problem.
They went out and their first 2 picks were defense. So the first pick was Keanu Neal, the safety,
a safety
out of Florida. So
a lot of people were thinking they would have gone. Sorry, John, but a lot of people were thinking they would have gone defensive front, but they picked up a safety, so they went secondary.
Yeah, and then with that second pick, they picked up Deion Jones, the linebacker out of LSU. Now, going on to the
they're
third,
trying to address that defense.
Yeah, they grabbed another linebacker in the 4th. Grabbing a tight end in the 3rd. So they're moving all around, but really they need to find out if Matty Ice is really needs to be put away back in the ice box, because honestly,
I don't. I think Matt Ryan is still a good quarterback.
Matty Ice
you can't really argue that.
Yeah, when you have Julio Jones to throw to, and then all you have to do is get a decent ball out there. You could have Who's sitting on the bench right now that deserves Luke McCown, right? You put him in there.
No, it's
I can guarantee
something or other. I don't even know who their backup is.
No, I was just saying, give me a decent backup quarterback right now, and just throw him in that position. All you need is somebody to sling the ball out there. He's one of those guys, just like Larry Fitzgerald
last year.
Exactly, he's one of those guys, just like how Larry Fitzgerald was in college and how he was in the beginning and somewhat still now. All you gotta do is just put it in the area. That man's gonna get the ball. He knows how to get up, get the ball, and come down with it, and possibly just move on with it.
All right, well, I'm going to jump in here, keep things moving, go down south. Well, we're in the south.
Yep.
But go a little bit
go
further south.
further south.
Into Florida and talk about these Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Get some oranges,
First
too.
thing I got to address is Jameis Winston. Now, I don't know what I think about Jameis Winston. I mean, he's got 4 games last year with multiple INTs and a single game with 4 interceptions playing against John's number 2 defense, Carolina Panthers. But he also had a 5-touchdown game playing against Sean and Collins' boys, King Kojo, the Eagles. 5 touchdowns in Week 11.
Yeah.
Now, Jameis Winston, only 22 years old, 22 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. Now, that 15 interception mark is 3 short of the league high, that being Blake Bortles, who had 33 and 18. Winston down at 22 and 15, thrown for over 4,000 yards in his rookie year, played all 16 games, attempted 535 passes with a 58.3 completion percentage, totaling to 312 completed passes. So, I mean, he's not really a mobile guy, but he's got a huge target. He's got to get those interceptions down, those touchdowns up.
You're talking about a rookie here.
Yeah, but that's the question. Is he going to have a sophomore slump?
A second-year
Is he going to have a sophomore slump?
I honestly see Jameis Winston stepping his game up this year.
Well, I mean, he's got to. 15 interceptions is too many, in my opinion. But his
Even for
number
a
one
rookie?
target, I'm talking about, I think if Tampa can if Jameis can take that next step, I think Tampa can be a dominant team. I'm having trouble finding some weaknesses on them. But his number one target, Jameis' number one target, has got to be Mike Evans coming out of Texas A&M, playing with Johnny Manziel. Last year, second year in the league, 74 receptions, 1,200 yards. Also broke 1,000 yards in his rookie campaign, totaling up 15 touchdowns. The majority of them coming in year 1 with 12, only 3 last year. Had more yardage, though. And now, one person that has to be talked about is Doug Martin. Now, Doug Martin, 288 carries, over 1,400 yards, averaging 4.9 a carry, just under 5 yards a carry with 6 touchdowns. Now, he's played his entire career with the Bucs.
He was a good sleeper pick in fantasy last year.
Yes, he was, being drafted in 2012 out of Boise State, entering his 5th year in the league. Now,
blue field.
Yeah, oh God, I hate that. I hate that field.
It is pretty ugly.
I mean, in his 49 games, he's compiled 3,806 yards. Now, his rookie year also went for over 1,400 yards. That would be his most yardage, 1,454. Went for over 1,400 again this past year. The 2 years before that, not so much on the ground. True. Now, last year...
He did have 11 touchdowns in his rookie year.
Well, yeah, last year also, I mean, he was starting to catch some more balls. In his rookie year, had 472 yards on the ground, coming off 49 receptions. Then the numbers also load his in 2013 and 14, just like the rushing, but got it back up a little bit higher, 33 receptions for 271 yards. I mean, is he going to be more involved in the passing game? I would have to hope so. If they could really get him into being a dual threat, that would be really nice for them.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see what they have. Is at Austin Safarian-Jenkins?
Yes, at tight end.
And he's going to be able. He's a decent blocking tight end, as well as able to get out into the flat there and get some yards. At least some catches.
He'll help them out in that running game, definitely.
Now, Duggernaut was ranked as PFT's number 2 running back overall behind Lev Bell. Doug scored an 87.8 overall. It would have been higher, but his grade in the passing game was only 68.1. Now, as far as defense goes, it's kind of hard to say it's a weakness when they're a top 10 defense, giving up 5,446 yards. But they had no pass rush last year, and the DBs could use some work. That would be their biggest weaknesses, but they really addressed them in free agency, both drafting both via the draft and free agency, signing top prospects during free agency and getting 2 high draft picks as well. If Jameis can put it all together, Austin Seferian-Jenkins catch a few balls, Mike Evans light it up, go for over 1,000 yards. If Doug or not can repeat with back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, they can really make a push for the wild card. I would say the division, but it's hard to take it away from the Carolina Panthers.
No.
I think they'd have to squeak in on the wild card, but if Winston puts it together, I don't see any reason why they can't.
I don't think the Buccaneers are quite there yet. They're on the cusp. They're kind of like the Jaguars, or maybe I don't want to say the Raiders. I think the Raiders are a little bit better, but I can see Tampa Bay making some strides this year. Maybe push it. I think they were 6-10 last year. Maybe pushing it to like 8-8, maybe even 9-7, depending on their strength of schedule.
Now, John, why don't you jump into the Saints? We're really pressed for time.
Yeah, the Saints, unfortunately, especially with the last place defense, they've returned to the nickname that we discussed in the top 10, the Aints. And now the weakness is that defense, but obviously, they had to make some big changes. Drafting Von Bell out of Ohio State, and then bringing back Roman Harper to kind of, that 11-year veteran's going to help him, and Jairus Byrd to solidify that defensive back area. And they grabbed a couple more rookies, Devontae Harms, Ken Crawley, and also they have returning corners PJ Williams, Brandon Dixon, and Damian Swan. Now, that defense, that secondary is a big question mark, and as I said with the Panthers, you got Calvin Benjamin coming back, you got Mike Evans that you have to go up against, you're gonna have to solidify Julio Jones as well.
That's a tough division of receivers.
Exactly.
Right there.
So you got a lot of wide receivers that you have to cover, and if you don't have somebody solid on him, you're going to be exposed all day, and you're going to open the gate for your second and third string guys to come out and make a big day on you. And but also they're also speaking about their defense, because it was dead last year. Their front seven looks very young. They have a couple veterans, the linebacker James Laurinaitis and Donnell Ellerby, and then their defensive end Cameron Jordan and Nick Farley. Those are the only veterans. The other guys mixed in there is like 2-year players and some 4-year players. Then they also, this year in the draft, they went after defensive end Sheldon Rankings, and they also grabbed defensive tackle David Ononmada.
Okay.
Now for their strengths, I see the running back situation being their strongest suit, and their wide receivers. Their Drew Brees, he's on his way out. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. You have a time limit in this league, and it's starting to show now. But he still has maybe 1 to 2 more solid years left in him before they have to get somebody to take his place. So with that being said, you got Mark Ingram, CJ Spiller, and Tim Hightower in the backfield, but now you're mixing in the rookie Cal running back Daniel Lasco and Michigan running back Sinone Honya. They're going to come into the running game, so you're going to have some fresh legs. You got some, mixed veterans, and CJ Spiller, he's getting up there in age, but he's always that guy that can catch that ball out of the backfield and make moves, and especially with
Mark Ingram had a pretty solid year last year too.
Exactly. So you got and Tim Hightower was filling in those gaps as well with a few of those reps as well. So I have to give their running back situation their strength right now, as well as their wide receiver core. They got Brandon Cooks, Reggie Bell, Brandon Coleman. They got a couple rookies mixed in there too. Michael Thomas out of Ohio State. They went Ohio State crazy in the draft. So we all know where Ohio State did what they did. They won that national championship. So we'll have to see how these rookies assimilate into this Saints culture, and see if they can't turn this nickname that they created for themselves way back when Archie Manning was playing, to see if they can turn the Aints and put that S back in the front.
All right, guys. Well, I guess with that, we're going to have to wrap up today's show. It was a fun one. Run over to voiceofbedlam.com. Check out all the posts. Get over to the Facebook, facebook.com/VOBpod. Hit me up on Twitter @AndrewBedlam. Thanks for all the downloads. Thanks for all the plays. We got to get out of here. For Sean, John, I'm Andrew Bedlam, and we're getting the hell out of here. Catch you guys on Thursday.
I've never seen anything like it before. This amoeba's got a money of its own.